Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 8 p.m. If everybody could stand up, we'll do a flag salute, and then please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. You may be seated.
All attendees and participants agreed to conduct themselves in a manner appropriate for public gathering. Individual speakers should be advised that no right of privacy protects a person's public comments made in a public forum. Accordingly, all participants bear responsibility for their own statements and commentary. Resolution 24-97, resolution acknowledging receipt and review of Planning Board Consistency Report for Ordinance 24-03.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the table, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Committee Person Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Farrow.
Yes.
No. Ordinances, second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 24-03, an ordinance amending Chapter 35 Land Use and Development Regulations, Article 5, Section 5-13, BP, Business Park Zone, and the Schedule of Area, Yard, and Building Requirements, Section 5-13.4 of the Revised General Code of the Township of Millstone, County of Monmouth, and State of New Jersey.
Thank you. Explanatory statement. This ordinance revision provides for the amendments to the bulk standards of the permitted municipality-sponsored affordable housing use in the PB zone to increase the permitted height of a multifamily buildings from 2-story 30 feet to 3-story 40 feet. This revision is due to the change in programming for the proposed development at 27 Burnt Tavern Road. The development was approved by the court in 2023 as part of an amended housing element and fair share plan that increased the number of affordable units on this site from 49 units to 66 units, plus one additional unit for the property manager. Because of this increase in units and further exploration into the environmental constraints on the site, the required building massing has changed. Affidavit of publication presented. I'd like to open it up to the public at
8:03.
Thank you. Anybody from the public that would like to come up and speak?
For this ordinance.
For this ordinance, yes. Okay. Being that there is nobody, I'd like to close it at,
8:03.
thank you. Motion to adopt the table, please.
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Committee Person Davis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Farrow.
Yes.
Second reading and public hearing, ordinance 24-04, ordinance authorizing purchase of property located at Cars Tavern Road and known as Block 60.02, lots 3.02, 11.01 through 11.06, 19, 22, 23, and 24.
Explanatory statement. This ordinance provides for the purchase by the Township of Millstone of the property located at Cars Tavern Road and known as Block 60.02, lots 3.02, 11.01 through .1106, lots 19, 22, 23, and 24. Affidavit of publication presented. I'd like to open it up to the public at,
8:04.
thank you. Anybody from the public that would like to come and speak about this particular ordinance? Okay. I'd like to close it at,
8:04.
thank you. Roll call?
I'll make the
No,
motion
we have
to
to
adopt.
do a
I'm
motion
sorry,
to
motion to
adopt.
adopt the table. I
I'll make the
apologize.
motion to adopt, Mayor.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Now roll call.
Committee Person Davis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Farrow.
Yes.
Okay, resolutions, consent resolutions. All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Committee and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There'll be no separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired of any item, that item will be considered separately. 24-98, payment of vouchers, May 6, 2024. March. Oh, I'm in May already. 24-99, resolution awarding contract for the 2024 curbside spring cleanup project and reserving option for year 2. 24-100, resolution authorizing execution of right-of-way entry agreement and accepting dedication of public access easement with the BPO Elks, Millstone, New Jersey, Lodge number 2613.
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Committeeperson Davis?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Yes.
Mayor Farrow?
Yes.
Township Committee minutes, regular meeting minutes, February 21st, 2024, and Deputy Mayor Morris was absent.
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you, and I'll second. Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Abstain.
Committeeperson Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Farrow?
Yes.
Executive meeting minutes, February 21st, 2024, again, Deputy Mayor Morris was absent.
Roll call?
Motion to
I'll
adopt
make
or
the
table?
motion- I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you. I'll second.
Now I'm going to do roll call. Committeeperson Davis?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Abstain.
And Mayor Farrow?
Yes.
Application for a social affairs permit. Millstone Township Elks BPOE number 2613, filed for a social affairs permit for an event to be held on May 18, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at 4 Red Valley Road.
I'll
mo-
make the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just want to note that Committeeperson Zabrowski has arrived at 8:07. Application for a raffle license, Millstone Elks Lodge BPOE number 2613, RA number 319, yearly pull tab raffle to be held from March 31st, 2024 through February 24th, 2025 at the Elks Lodge, 22 Burnt Tavern Road, Millstone, New Jersey.
Have a motion to approve a table?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Liaison reports. Eric, do you have anything?
Just a reminder that the Environmental Commission will be sponsoring our annual stream cleanup. That's April 13th.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you. Here's the flyer. Feel free to pick one up. That's April 13th, 9 a.m. to noon. We meet at the court building. We go around various spots around our stream banks and pick up garbage so it doesn't get in the water and keep our watershed clean. So please, if you can come out, that'd be great. There's information on the township website.
The Moose Lodge said they're gonna have a bunch of people come and help you this year.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That's what I have.
Chris?
Nothing new and exciting.
Okay. I have the February 2024, February 2024 month report for Fire Department and EMS. For the total of 89 responses, 63 were medical, 11 were motor vehicle, and 15 were fire calls. Of those calls, there were 43 that were removed to Center State, 2 to Jersey Shore Hospital, 3 to Princeton, 1 to Capital Health and Capital Health Hopewell, and 4 to Capital Health. On a day shift, there were approximately 56 radio runs, and on a night shift, there were 33. In addition to that, we had a resident that had a medical issue at their home, and they took the time out to write a letter. So I'd like to read this to you so you know what kind of good job our fire department and EMS is doing for our town. This is dated 2024, February 24th. On Tuesday, 11/28/23, my husband was so ill he was unable to get out of bed. I called 911 for an ambulance. EMS arrived so fast and were professional and kind. They lifted him up and got him out of the house very quickly and were helpful by taking me with him to the hospital. At a very frightening time for both of us, my husband and I, EMS and the Millstone firefighters were there when needed. We will forever be grateful. Thank you so very much. Luann Lobolo. So that's the kind of response and dedication that our FD and EMS provide us, and it definitely does not go unnoticed every time that they go out. So we appreciate everything that they do. Any new business? Okay.
Oh, wait, the curbside cleanup was just voted on today.
Okay, I think it's in my packet. Hold on.
It is.
Because I know there's been a lot of people with questions, and it was just awarded.
Yeah, I'll say that in the comments from the dais.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. No business, any old business?
Just the New Jersey Mentor, 8 Dugan's Grove Road.
Okay. So we've had a couple of residents that live on Dugan's Grove. At the last meeting, they voiced their concerns, and I believe our administrator had reached out to several people from...
Yeah, we have Brian Ross and Molly Green from the Department of Children and Family that are, I know, in attendings, and representatives from the Mentor were also invited.
Okay. If you'd like to come up and speak, just state your name, your address, and what department you're from. Is that mic on? Do you see a green light?
Hello?
If you
Oh,
just,
I have to, yeah, just hold the
if you just hold it, the green light
There we
should
go.
come on.
green light on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep.
There it goes.
Hi, everybody. Best to address you all or stand to the side here? All
If
right.
you could just, your name again?
Okay, I'm
State
sorry,
your
Brian
name,
Ross, 50 East State Street, Kenton, New Jersey, from the Department of Children and Families. And thank you for having us up. We're happy to be here. Wish it was under better circumstances, but we appreciate the concerns that were expressed at the last meeting. To give you all some background, with the Department of Children and Families, I oversee our licensing and investigation operations related to institutions. There's my colleague, Molly, who oversees our children's system of care. Do you want to speak about that?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak with you. I'm Molly Green. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the Children's System of Care within the Department of Children and Families. Brian and I work very closely together because he oversees the licensing and the inspection, as well as our investigations in our out-of-home programs. And my role is more focused on the contracts with providers, the services that are being delivered to young people, and managing the system of care and the services that we offer across the state.
Okay.
So, I guess with regard to the comments that were made at the last meeting, I just wanted to, we wanted to give an update to the committee as far as what our responses look like so far. So we have been up conducting licensing inspections pretty routinely, both during the day and off hours at night. We've had people staking out the house. We've not found, during the course of that time, a lot to really substantiate a lot of the more serious comments that were made at the last meeting, which could be a good thing. It could mean that, either they weren't occurring in the first place, which would be ideal for us, or that things have really been cleaned up. We're optimistic either way that the program has taken care of any of the issues that were occurring that we were previously not noticing, but we think at this point the program appears to be in a good place. We also coordinate with the state police to some extent. They found similar lack of concern. They looked into some of the, how do I doubt phrases talk? Some of the things that might have risen to a criminal level that were risen at the last meeting, and looked into those and weren't able to substantiate any of those either. So at this point we feel like we obviously need to continue monitoring pretty aggressively, but we are satisfied that the program is in a relatively good place at this point.
So the on-site visits that you did were random?
Yes,
during
they
the
were.
day, at night, unannounced?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And did you actually go into the home and look at, who was there?
Yeah, so we had inspectors who, not only did they go into the home, they staked out the home initially from across the street. And if there are any neighbors and tenants, we appreciate that nobody called the police on us. We had some people stalking around the neighborhood, and no police calls actually, which was great. They did stake out the house for an hour, both before and after the inspection. They went in to confirm who was at the program, made sure it was just residents. We had some claims about people coming in and out all hours of the night and day, various substances being brought in. Did not find any of that. They found this was a Friday night. One inspection in particular was a Friday night, roughly 10 o'clock. They found residents asleep in bed, only appropriate people there, no illicit activity occurring.
Okay.
Can we ask questions or no?
Sure,
Oh.
absolutely.
So some of the residents had raised a concern, I know Kevin had verified it, that the front bay window had been broken for like 5 months. Is that still the case? Because that seems to be something.
Yes, it was true, but it has been fixed.
Oh,
I say, I don't know about 5 months, so.
You know, a safety concern if that's still there when you did an inspection.
Yeah, so it was taken care of. It was noted. Our last inspection for the physical facility was in December, so not that long ago. It was noted at that time. It has been repaired, at least we're told. So we are following up on that to make sure. But yeah, that should have been repaired more quickly.
Okay.
So we'll definitely keep on top and make sure that doesn't
Right. It's
linger
my
that way.
understanding there's still some investigations still ongoing.
There are some things ongoing still, and then things that were uncovered unrelated to some of the concerns that were brought up here. But we're also just keeping tabs, just because we do want to be good neighbors. We take that pretty seriously. It's actually written into our regulations that the program should be good neighbors, and we want to make sure they stay that way. So whether this was a matter of we caught the program as they were cleaning up or improving, or that they were always that way, we're happy to know that right now they seem to be on the right path.
Okay.
There were a couple people that were here last time that were actually former employees. They claimed they filed complaints with, I think, with you guys and with the management. Have you seen copies of these complaints at all, or?
So what they did claim was that they made calls to the child abuse hotline, which we can't comment on either way. Just I wish I could. Unfortunately, we can't in this particular case.
And then, depending on the nature of the complaints, because we contract with our provider agencies, they are the employer. And so if there are employee-employer issues, if it's a complaint against their employer, that's something that really has to be addressed through other channels. And if it is from time to time, an employee of one of our contracted agencies may reach out to the department because they have a concern as an employee, and we do not provide them legal guidance or advice, but we do direct them to the appropriate venues for, lodging complaints. Could be OCR, or EEO. Also, to depending on the nature of the concern, as an employee, if it doesn't implicate those laws, then they can also, the first, and even if they do, to bring those concerns to their the board of directors of the organization, who really have the proper authority to address any of those concerns of employees.
From what I remember, there were several residents that came up and spoke at the last meeting, and their concerns were that the children were not being supervised properly, and that the children were running across the street and creating a safety issue with vehicles going up and down Dugan's Grove. How do we get a handle on that? Because they live there, they're there, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're physically seeing this going on. So, and I'm not saying that the inspections weren't done, and I'm not taking away any credit from what has happened, but how do we get a handle on making sure that the supervisors in the group home are doing their job, supervising the children, and making sure that they're safe? If they want to go out and it's nice, by all means do so, and whatever curriculum they have and activities they have, that's great. But to go, unchecked and unsupervised, just to run out and possibly create a dangerous situation is of concern of the residents, because they are children and we want to keep everybody safe. So how do we handle that from your perspective?
So I do know, and we have looked into several of those. So we have what we call an unusual incident reporting system. So the program is responsible for letting us know when things on a specified list, which we're happy to provide you the administrative order that covers that if you want the nitty-gritty details. But incidents that occur, behavioral incidents, anything where the police or the fire department need to be called, or anything where there was an altercation between residents or somebody trying to elope from the program, for example, needs to be reported to the department, and those are followed up on. We have had quite a few from this program over the past 2 years. I think we looked into, we had 30, I want to say, total.
Some of them were, yes.
And some of them were redundant.
Some of them were redundant, some of them were, so some of the, without going into the specifics of the complaints, but categorically, we also code complaints in terms of severity, or, the severity of a complaint. So things that are operational can be also reported to us. So by the licensing standards, if the heating system fails, if sometimes, I don't think it's happened with this program, but with other programs, there may be an issue in the house where a pipe breaks and the residents have to be relocated. So anything untoward, and we can share, I think it'd be helpful to share the administrative orders so you can see the categories and how those things are graded. And so every time there is an incident in the program, they are required to report that incident to us. We often receive incidents in two ways for our out-of-home programs, because for a lot of the types of incidents that occur, the agency also has an obligation to report to the child's caregiver or parent, or if they're in the custody of the department, then they're calling their CPMP worker. They will also make their care manager aware that they're the youth care manager. So we'll often receive reports both from the program and from the care manager. All of those reports come into our division. They're processed by my staff. We have several people that are involved in this work. We monitor them individually. We have staff who review the UIRs. Those are the reports for the programs that they're assigned to manage and have that oversight for. They review every one of those UIRs. They're responsible for following up with the programs. We coordinate very closely with the investigation unit, because we stand aside. Our program staff won't go out to a program if there's an active investigation going on, but we will address some of those concerns that might become as a consequence. For example, who are the staff that are in place? What is happening with the children? What is the care that they're receiving now? And those incidents that are at or above a certain level of severity are also reviewed by me and by my deputy director. And so depending on the nature of the concern, we may follow up with administration within the organization.
I personally have sent over the EMS and fire reports to them as well, so they could check that against what they're
Yes.
seeing from, what were things
So-
reported or not.
And that, I appreciate that, and that's really helpful, because one of the things that is a concern of is we see that things have happened in the community or the program that should have been reported. If they haven't been, then that is something that we would absolutely address.
Was that the case? Did we give you something that wasn't reported?
No, if I recall, and I'm trying to remember, I believe we had everything captured. That was,
Yeah,
every
we
one of
did.
those
Okay.
incidents
Yes,
was
we
recorded.
did have all of them.
And again, some of them come up, the fire department showed up, I think, at least 2 occasions for, a smoke detector for kitchen smoke, and it was not actually a real serious incident,
So,
And I can
but
speak,
even that
yeah.
was reported.
No,
But,
no,
and I,
that-
maybe
that's
that,
fine.
if I can, speak to that one as an example without disclosing the identity of the individual, but I can tell you that while that was being investigated, my staff, my program staff are reaching out to the program and asking, what are you doing? What are the clinical interventions? What's the supervision that you're putting in place to ensure that all of the residents, including the youth who demonstrated these behaviors, is, what are you doing to curtail this and to keep everybody safe? And so they provide a plan, there's closer supervision, and since they've put that in place, we have not seen a further dispatch of the fire department. So we will try to address those things clinically with the residents and the individuals, and then if there are staff performance issues or concerns about, then that really falls under the investigations for the institutional abuse unit.
But we'd also point out too, that the CSAC is a centralized statewide system, so our team does have visibility on all of their treatment providers and the holistic view of the kid. So we are very aware at all times if their
what's going
well-being
on?
is
Just,
Yeah, I mean, if it's helpful, a little bit more about how youth are admitted to programs. Each youth who, in order for a youth to be eligible for out-of-home treatment, they first become open to services with a care management organization. There are 15 care management organizations across the state of New Jersey. They're aligned with the court vicinages, and those organizations are responsible for wraparound service planning and support for the youth and the family. Most of the children that receive services through CSOC are receiving their services at home and in the community. It's home-based therapy, interventions, other kinds of services depending on what the child's needs are, and not just looking at the clinical treatment services, but what's that overall plan of other activities the youth may be involved in, mentoring relationships, so there's a really strong plan for that young person. Sometimes that plan's not enough for a young person to be able to be safe, and not just physically, but psychologically safe because of the acuity of their needs. That child will then will be considered for admission to an out-of-home program, and so that's kind of a long process. So I'll give you the high level. The child and family team, which is the care manager, the parents, the child, other supports that they've identified to be a part of their care team will work together to develop a referral, a request for out-of-home treatment services. That is then submitted to Perform Care, our contracted systems administrator. They operate, they provide a lot of services that are similar to what you would see with a managed care organization. They perform our clinical necessity reviews and determine not just if the child meets criteria for an out-of-home program, but also what is the appropriate program for that child. And so they get, sorry, I'm going to give you a little jargon, I'll try, please be patient with me, I work for the state, there's a lot of jargon. So once that child's clinical determination is made, we call that an intensity of service, or an IOS for short. It doesn't stop there. So once that child has the program type in terms of the intensity and the type of programming that will be delivered in that program to meet that child's needs, that is then returned to the staff, the program lead staff in my division. And we have staff that are each assigned to a number of programs and program types, and so they will look at the age of the youth, the gender of the youth, what their presenting challenges are, and then they will let the care management organization know which programs are approved for that youth to be admitted to. And so age and gender and other factors are, those are kind of static, but we also do really look at who is that young person, what are their challenges, is this going to be a good fit for the program? Sometimes there are children that we think clinically it's not appropriate to house those children together in the same program. So we try to really be as thoughtful as possible about having children living together in a program to really set them up for success, and who may have common challenges, but also we think we have a degree of confidence that they'll be able to really live together successfully during the time that they're in that out-of-home program.
Thank you for that. The facility that we have in Dugan's Grove, I'm assuming that everybody has integrity, and we're all hoping for the best. What happens if the supervisors that are in charge of that facility supervising the children are not reporting when the children run out and they go across the street because they're not doing their job? And the residents there see that, but now it's not being reported to you. Is there any kind of camera system that you have at your facilities that you require, where not to impose on anybody's privacy or anything like that, but common areas, outside cameras that are pointing to the street, to the driveway, entrance, exit, stuff like that you could have monitored and have significant proof to see that, oh wait, this child just ran out, and you have that video feed or however you have it, and you're going to wait for that call or that report that said, the child ran out, unsupervised, we ran after him, no injuries, it was rectified, we spoke to the child, or it just doesn't get reported at all. So how do we handle that?
In addition to that, is we had reported that people are coming at all hours of the night, so.
Right, I was going to get to that, yeah.
Sorry.
So, I was building up, so I understand everything, that you guys are doing, and you're doing it from, an off-site, premise, and you're assigning investigators to go in, but there are always ways around the system that, people are inventive. So how do we deal with that? Because we have a bunch of people here that are witnesses to what's going on there, and something is being, disconnected here. So even though, you feel you're getting these reports, I don't think the residents feel you're getting all of the reports and exactly what is happening there. So how do we handle that?
Well, I'll address the easy part first, too. So the cameras are something we've looked into frequently. Because most of these are Medicaid paid placements, there are federal regulations that prevent that from happening, unfortunately.
Even outside?
Even in common areas, yeah, because of...
No, I'm saying like outside the home, like driveway, front, front
We've
lawn.
looked into that piece of it specifically. We've looked into common areas, so that's where we've definitely...
You're talking about, when you say
looked.
common areas, internal.
Yeah,
inside the house.
program.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever looked at distinguishing the outside areas. It's something we definitely look into.
Yeah, because if you have cameras that are on the perimeter of the house, and it's pointing, let's say, the front to the road, the driveway, the backyard to the backyard, if somebody runs out, you have video proof. And it's not invasion of privacy or HIPAA laws or anything else that, are gonna come into play. So.
No, again, there are, very specific Medicaid regulations based on the way this is funded. But it's something we can definitely look into, because I don't know, just off the top of my head, if we've actually explored the question of outdoor cameras. I know we've definitely looked at common area cameras previously, and that was a non-starter, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because it would be helpful.
Sure.
That would obviously
You're
help a
protecting the
lot.
children too.
But as far as, you're absolutely right. We can't be everywhere at all times. We don't know what's happening when we're not looking, kind of nature of the beast. But we would very much love to hear. I mean, we have a good relationship with state police. We do monitor the unusual incident reports. We do look at the treatment. So if a child brings up that there was an incident that we haven't heard about, that does obviously raise red flags too. If their parents raise the concern, if somebody else in the community, we would encourage the neighbors, if they have a concern.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is there a mechanism that the neighbors can report things to you directly?
Yeah, I'm happy to leave a number with you. Our Office of Licensing would usually be the best place to call, and I'm happy to leave that number. I'll leave an email address. We can definitely get back to you on that.
Okay.
If it's abuse and neglect, if it's an actual child safety concern, we have our
Brian,
challenges hotline.
if you provide it to me, I'll
Absolutely.
make sure it's.
Yeah, we'll disseminate it to the residents.
Perfect, we can definitely do that.
And I really would want to emphasize that, of course, any concern about abuse and neglect should go to the, should go to our screening and central registry, but, and it's sometimes a judgment call. But if there are safety concerns or staff performance concerns, I think those are more appropriately directed to the Office of Licensing. And sometimes it's really hard to tell what's happening, right? So we've had situations, if you're not in the home with the children, you don't know what's happening inside before they get outside. What may look, for example, sometimes we've heard a concern that this is not even about this particular program, that a youth is walking down the street and why are the staff not, kind of running after them and catching them and bring them back? Well, that would be an improper restraint. And so what we're hoping will happen in that situation is that young person is getting an opportunity to kind of get a little bit more regulated, pull themselves together and in common parlance, and that they would then return to the program and through having a conversation. And so that's something else to be mindful of, is that that restraints, or the use of improper restraints, or the use of seclusion and restraint is precluded in most situations. And anytime that a restraint is used because it's a safety issue, that absolutely must be reported to us, not just by under several different regulations, under the administrative order, under our Medicaid regulations, that has to be reported. And so, just, I can understand that observing that kind of interaction is it can be very uncomfortable. Parents may feel uncomfortable, adults may feel uncomfortable, they may feel uncomfortable with their children or observing that kind of an interaction. I think we definitely understand that, and we expect our programs to avoid those kinds of situations where there is a disruption and to the community or to the neighborhood. And if something like that happens, then it's also our expectation that the program is, as Brian mentioned, really acting as a good neighbor themselves as well. But you will sometimes see things that look a little bit unusual, and it may be, so what looks like that's I think one example. If it looks like a staff person isn't running after a child to pin them down, that would actually be an improper restraint. So, and it is one of the challenges that happens, it's not uncommon in many of our residential programs.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the dais? No? If any of the residents would like to come
Well,
up.
how about, is anybody from Mentor here?
We didn't speak to them directly, so I know you said that they were planning to, I don't know.
Right, so that's-
A week ago, they said they would have somebody here, so I just wanted to make sure that they have a chance to speak before. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Jeff Clark.
yeah.
Do you,
Brian,
Yeah,
if you guys would like to sit here, no, if you could sit at the desk here, because the mic, so we can get you on record.
do you want to do it at this time or at public comment? Brian, can they discuss now or at
No, because
public
this
comment?
is, it's part of, it's part of the public on the agenda.
Public comment though,
Yeah.
because, do it for public comment.
Yeah,
Okay.
just,
Because, so wait,
Wait, so
Wait.
we're gonna, just stand there for 1 second. We're gonna defer.
yeah.
Okay. Any comments from the dais? No? Okay, so I'd like to open it up to the public.
8:34.
You're up.
Now you're up. There you go. Thank you for waiting.
Good, how are you? Jeff Clark, 11 Dugan's Grove Road. Just what Councilman Zaborski said about the people that testified from the company, the mentors. I don't think they're ex-employees. I think they're still employed.
One of the gentlemen is now an ex-employee,
Well,
definitely.
Well, I got 1 out of 2 maybe right now.
I'm not sure.
But the thing is, you know, you talk about the kids maybe just running out, and maybe, you know, running up the street and cooling down. I could understand that. Have you ever been on Dugan's Grove Road?
No.
You don't want a kid walking on that road. He's gonna get, you won't see him, there's no street lights, cars fly down there. So, if a kid, I mean, and they do it quite a bit, if he's running down that street and he gets hit by a car, now you just said it would be good for him to run, you know, cool down. I'm not,
But not running in the street.
well, there's only one way to get out of there is on the street. There's no sidewalks. There's no sidewalks at all on that street. All you have is trucks going by and commuters, and it's a pretty busy street. As far as, you know, restraining them, I've had 3 of them sit on a rock in front of my house until the state police got there. They wouldn't go back into the house, and I'm just a resident. And they were more comfortable with me sitting on my rock waiting for the police to come because they didn't want to go back to the house. So, not only is it, I think, and you know, you talk about the children, you know, you talked a lot about the children. It has nothing to really do with the children. It's the staff that's not supplying these children with the proper care. And I've seen it continuously for 3 years now, I think. There was a gentleman there, and his name was Patrick June. And if you check the meeting records from the last time, we never had a problem. Occasional, you know, visit from somebody, but, and then for the last 3 years, at least, it's just been I mean, they're there almost every other day, you know, the police, fire department. And it's the safety of the kids. Somebody's gonna come out of there, and they're not gonna come out because of the environment, you know, the street, the conditions of the road. But I think it's the staff is more to blame than any of these kids. And like, you heard some of the testimony from that meeting, like,
Yeah.
and that was an ex-employee that said, or a current employee, both of them agreed that said that there was drug use in the house. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that, you can't say that, but these are employees that said it. So, which I find, I don't know what their motive is, but yours is the safety of the kids. And we look at it, I mean, you know, they're not our kids, we're raising our own kids and grandkids. And, you know, my kids never played on that street. And everybody I know, I've been there 32 years. That's why we have big backyards. And like I said, and these kids are trouble. And one of them was found 4 miles down the road on Route 33 at the Quick Check, according to a state trooper I talked to off the record. And so I think, you know, you guys had a spy team there or whatever, but they obviously didn't go at the right times. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Patrick actually notified me since that meeting he's been let go.
Oh, yeah? I guess they got drift of his, so is that 2 gone? Is Abdul Smith gone too?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely, so I would start out, again, just with the caveat that, you know, walking down the road was the example. I know we have had some issues with that. We're not necessarily saying that's safe at this particular program. That was just sort of an example
Yeah.
of something a little bit more
But
visual.
I
But
mean,
to the extent that
the
it's happening.
road,
it's
I mean, I would
definitely a
look into
concern for
that.
safety.
I mean,
yeah. As far as the, you know, the incident where the kids were sitting out front, I don't recall that one
yeah,
coming up, so that's something we definitely like to hear more about.
My neighbors could remember that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
they were actually sitting on my, you know, I got a big rock out there, and they were afraid to go back. So,
So that's definitely something we would definitely want to follow up on and get more information on for sure, because that would be a concern, and please make sure that was.
and the state police know it, because they came and they made a report about it. So they saw them sitting there, and they got off when they got there, so. I think it was last summer.
And I apologize because that probably wasn't a very good example given this, given Dugan's Grove, given the circumstances on Dugan's Grove Road. So I don't want to leave, well, the fact of not following the child down the street rather than necessarily.
Oh, no, I mean, that's,
you know,
I get the
restraining,
restraint
but
thing,
I hear your
but
concern.
maybe on a different street, you know. I
Right,
mean,
or
you
even
know, let
on a street
them
that's-
walk, if there was a track there or something.
Well, and there's a difference if a child's sort of like angrily walking, or if they're running
these-
out in a rage and they're not looking where
Right.
they're going, which I can understand that is also a concern. I do wanna, so, you know, I don't want to leave the impression that we think it's okay for kids to be running into
No,
the
I
street.
wouldn't think you would,
Yeah.
I mean, but,
And there are some other things that we can discuss with the program,
but,
in terms of, so for example, one thing that, I don't know if they do this at Dugan's Grove, but many of our programs will have alarms on the doors, so that if
that
a
would
child
probably be a bad
elopes.
idea. That would be
is
probably better than
leaves,
cameras.
It's not it's, you can hear it, you can, oh, sorry.
You don't have to,
Okay.
it just will pick you up.
You know, and so that has been very helpful, so that there's an alert, so that we know that somebody has walked out of the building, and some programs find that to be very helpful. In terms of the staffing, there have been a lot of changes in staffing across all of our agencies. There are workforce challenges throughout our system. This is very difficult and challenging
But-
work.
But for,
and-
excuse me,
yeah.
to have these kind of houses, there are different tiers of these houses.
Yes.
Tier 12, I don't know what, or, I should have wrote it down, but some of them need to have like a psychiatrist on staff.
Well, every program has a psychiatrist, and the children are under the care of the psychiatrist, but that person is not necessarily, is not there 40 hours a week.
Well, you know, at night, like 1 o'clock in the morning on a Friday or Saturday, I see people coming in with like, you know, just all kinds of people, and that isn't conducive for a business of that nature, am I right?
No,
I mean,
that should not be
They shouldn't have any
happening.
friends coming over, I don't think
No,
staff should have.
absolutely not. Staff
Well,
should not be having friends over.
That is happening, and I will tell you, that is happening. And maybe you guys could put somebody there at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or a Friday, and you might get some results. Maybe, you know, not good ones for them, but it's not good for the kids in the condition that they're living right now, I can guarantee you that. And if, I'll give this to someone else who would like to speak. Mr. Boulanger? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Council, just wanted to tell you, you know, the way it is. And you guys too.
We appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Chris Leeds. I live at 1 Indian Path, so I'm not on Dugan's Grove. Where the house is, if you come 5 houses towards the intersection, I'm the first house around the corner. All right, so my biggest concern again is the kids. Dugan's Grove Road and Iron Ore Road are basically the same road. They change names at my intersection. That intersection, at least every 2 or 3 months, has a serious accident to the point where they have to take people away in an ambulance. Dugan's Grove Road is supposedly posted at 45 miles an hour. If anybody's going 45 miles an hour on Dugan's Grove, it's a miracle. They're really, and Jeff is right, they're flying down this road. I'm afraid, and there's no sidewalks on Dugan's Grove, my street, the cross street, there's no sidewalks there. Your idea of if somebody gets out and they want to walk the neighborhood, it's good for them, it's therapy. But I think it should be supervised therapy on a street that has sidewalks. We don't really have that facility. The other thing I wanted to find out, and this is probably, maybe I'm digging too deep, I don't know what the requirements are to hire staff in the facility. I don't know what the requirements are for how much staff there needs to be per how many children there are. You can't find that anywhere. So I don't know if there's a mandate that the state says we have to follow. Is it being followed? I don't know. So these are the kind of questions that I have. And I don't know if this is really the venue to ask those kind of questions. But it's the kind of thing that I worry about. If you're supposed to have 3 staff for every 10 children, and at night you only have 1, that guy, whoever that person is being overstressed and overtasked to watch the volume of children that are there. I don't even know how many children are in the facility, and I don't know if we really are allowed to know how many children are there, but whatever that number is, needs to have a certain amount of staff to monitor that number, and we don't know if that's going on. So, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I just want to know what's supposed to be happening there, what's actually happening there. And I think Mr. Mayor mentioned the fact that if there were cameras there, and maybe not to interfere with personal daily activities, but on a door, the driveway in that house is very long and it comes out to the street where, again, it's very fast traffic. So I'm more worried about if somebody were to run in front of that out in the road and there was an accident, the state would have a big problem, the family would have a big problem. I'm just worried about those kind of things happening. And I don't know how the state, if it's a state facility or if it's a private facility that the state has hired, manages those kind of things.
So can I respond?
Sure.
That'd be
Oh,
helpful.
yeah.
So,
I'll finish,
no,
please.
I think that's a great question, and I think our providers would say that our regulations are rigorous, and there's a, I don't even know where to begin. So there are several different contractual and regulatory requirements. We can certainly share the links with you to the requirements for, the regulations are public documents, they're public facing, you can get them on our website. Our contract documents aren't public facing, but we can provide those. It's very, so all of our programs are licensed under, Brian oversees our Office of Licensing, subject to regular inspections, re-inspections and re-inspections if there's anything that's been found. And that really is focusing on health and life safety. And then at the division level, we really build the program requirements and standards. And it's an important point that they really do vary, right? From what we call our lower intensity to our highest intensities, where we may have, a ratio of, some children who are on a one-to-one supervision at all times. That would be the highest level of acuity. And so the ratios are established by contract, and it's based on, so there's ratios for the direct care staff. So it's always, in a 5-bed program, it's 2-to-1 at all times, and then if it's depending on the level of acuity, it could be 3 for all 5 children, and if there's a child that needs a one-on-one, there might be another person there. So there's some flexibility, but there's a basic requirement.
Is the same requirement during the day as it would be at night?
It depends during the day on how many children are present in the home. So during the day, if children are in school on a school day and nobody's in the home, then they don't need to have that level of supervision. If a child's homesick or they're being homeschooled, then they do need to have that standard of supervision.
Excuse me, I just need to interrupt, but there's more cars there when those kids are in school than there is when they're not in school.
That wouldn't surprise me, because that's also when the other program staff are there, the nursing staff are there. They may be doing things that are related to care, but they may not be providing the direct care. So the program director, other agency staff may be coming to the home for meetings or for other reasons. So there's other activity happening, treatment planning, documentation. The psychiatrist may be there during the day. So it really varies by program. The other thing I want to share is that we really scrutinize not just what the schedule and the staffing plan was prospectively, but for every week, every month, all of our residential programs have to submit to our business office documents that, sorry for another acronym, there are program staffing and service reports, and we review our contracting staff review those reports to see not just how many staff were on a particular shift, which staff were on a particular shift, and they're also looking to see and how many children were in the program at that shift. I can tell you our out-of-home programs do not enjoy completing these documents because it's extremely detailed, and it's really reporting to us not just a person was there, but the names of the person, they have to identify which staff were there at which shift, on which shift, and not just the direct care staff, but the clinical staff, the program director. So we're looking to see how many hours did the children get the adequate required number of clinical hours from the clinical team. And that's a really important management tool for us, because that is where we may begin to see when an agency may be struggling with shift coverage, or they may have somebody covering more than a few programs, and then we begin to address that with the agency, because we know that those, if there are challenges with staffing, that can lead to other problems. I think that's fairly obvious. So we have very, very tight oversight of those, how the programs are being staffed.
and you guys researched the road and everything, like where these kids do run out? I mean, this is about the kids' safety issues. It's not about the staff. It's about the safety of the kids. And I hate to tell you, we've told this to you many times, it's gonna be on you guys when one of those children wind up, you know, God forbid, hurt.
Molly, I have a question. When was the last time there was an inspection done to see if everything that you said, this particular facility was in compliance with all of the reports and staffing and everything else?
Well, in terms of the staffing reports, that's ongoing.
And we do
Yeah.
check it all. Then our last onsite prior to the complaints was in January. Been in
January
December.
this year?
Yes, this year. And then we've been out, and I'm gonna get these dates wrong, so I'll get the actual inspection reports if you'd like to see those too. But we were out in December, we were out in January, and then we were out most recently, after the last council meeting, we were out there twice.
Were there any deficiencies found as far as, you know, the reporting of how many staff to children and, you know, who was in at what time and what kids were in the home, you know, all of that?
We did not cite anything related to this, so nothing that came up was cited previously. We had issues with the program, and I'll just explain the way DCF does our inspections. We take a very, very aggressive approach to our inspections. It's very, almost unheard of for a program to not have anything cited, so it would, you know, there were definitely things cited. We cited everything from, you know, the wallpaper was peeling slightly, and then that window definitely came up.
Okay.
And I can say that there are other programs at this time where we do have some significant staffing concerns, and where we see that an agency is not correcting, if we're seeing that, you know, and I can tell you one of the things that happens rarely but is one of the greatest concerns is that we never want children to be alone in a program. So that's a very serious occurrence if a program, you know, is left with only one staff person there with a home full of kids. That's a risk for everybody. So when we hear about things like that, when, you know, sometimes it's reported to us by other staff, sometimes it's reported by the agency, we take that very seriously, and then we will take additional steps with an agency. It may be, you know, it might have been an isolated issue. If we're seeing that this is something that is more pervasive and concerning, then we will consider other progressive actions to have that program come into compliance. So that can be a performance improvement plan. That can also could move to a corrective action plan, which is a more serious in terms of the implications for the contract. We also will sometimes, we will tell an agency if they have a staffing issue, they can't keep their beds full. They cannot admit more children than they have the staff to adequately care for. And so that's something that, you know, it's difficult because we don't want kids who are waiting to not be able to have access, but we will absolutely not have children admitted to a program where we know that there is not adequate staffing.
So I have a quick thing, is, at 7:26, I received an email, and I just a little while ago, it was a statement. Good evening, Mr. Abernathy. I wanted to ensure that you received the following statement in light of the concerns being presented at the township meeting. We are a contracted provider licensed by the state of New Jersey to deliver a range of services to children. Services are delivered by an array of professional positions based on contractual requirements. We are committed to being good neighbors and providing children we support with the same rights to privacy, protection, and confidential care that all members of this community deserve. Thank you, Andrea Kubis, Area Director.
Of the mentor group?
Mentor agency.
That's the agency. Is that what
Yes,
you're referring to?
mentor.
Okay.
I've spoken to her. She wouldn't talk.
Well, maybe they'll talk to her, to them. So,
I have a question. What's the, trying to understand the dynamic here. I think you mentioned that the kids really want to be willing participants in the program, or is it a situation where their parents want them in the program, but they don't? I'm trying to get the idea, they want to be there, are they willing participants?
So I'm not saying this to be flippant at all, but most young people don't want to live in a residential treatment program. So in terms of whether they want to be there, I think what we really look for is a willingness and a readiness to engage in services, or they may have an ambivalence about being there, or they had a really bad, and that changes not just over, the course of their time. It can change over the course of a day, it can change over the course of an hour. These are young people who, are in like, even if they were not receiving these kinds of services, they're adolescents, right? With all that brings, the developmental challenges, where they are with their executive functioning. And so children may be there, as I described earlier, that child and family team conference to decide whether an child should be referred to an out-of-home program. So that's what I would describe as sort of a completely voluntary situation. There are, however, other situations that may arise. So, for example, a young person may be on probation, and as a condition of their probation, the judge may want that child to be considered for residential treatment. And so, if the child does not enter that program, there will be other consequences. But at the same time, when we're working with that child around admission, we really look to ensure that young person has enough willingness and readiness to engage in the program. And so I think another way of talking about this is that children are not committed to the program. There's no civil commitment. These are not locked facilities, obviously, and civil commitment criteria, which we can also share with you if you want to read them, but they're very, very, very rigorous, high standard, and that you can't be civilly committed to one of our residential programs. So if a child needs that level of safety and security, then that child would be brought to a psychiatric screening center to determine whether an admission to a children's crisis unit is appropriate, and that's a much more secure setting.
I appreciate you're going to make your contact information available to the residents. I guess the question I have is, if they do reach out to you one of these ways, what would then happen after you receive a report from the residents? What would be your...
So that's really going to depend. Typically, what we would encourage, if you call the Office of Licensing, it's not a child abuse or neglected situation, that report is public. And we will have the public reports on the most recent inspections this last month available to you pretty shortly too. We got some eyes and crosses.
If you don't mind, you want to...
Yeah, we'll definitely send those to you so you have them. So that would be, we can respond with that to anybody, and that is something we can release to the general public. We do post them on the internet. If it's child abuse and neglect report, again, our hands are a little bit tied. We can't really comment on how that's followed up on. Statutorily, we're just not allowed to. But we'll do our best to
is there a communication with the person who called you, and you acknowledge that you received it?
Yes.
Would you acknowledge that the case has been investigated and closed? So there's a, open and shut resolution for them, so they know what's going, not that they know the particulars of what's going on, but they know that they've called you, you've acknowledged receipt, and you're investigating it, and now 2 weeks later, a month later, you've done your investigation, and now it's been closed, but that's as much as you could say.
Yes.
Is that possible?
To the extent that we're able to do so, yes,
Yeah,
that should be.
so, yeah, because this way that they could go back and forth. But I do have a question with the agency. The agency that's providing the care to these children at this facility, what is their reputation? Are they, a good company that's reputable across, the board? Are they just a New Jersey state agency? Are they, a multi-state agency? What is their credit rating is what I'm looking for, the reputation of taking care of the children. Has it been good 5 years ago and now it's steadily decreased? Was it status quo and they've gotten better? Do you have some feedback on this particular agency?
So Mentor is a very large national organization, so they do have services throughout the United States. It's my understanding that some of the programs that they currently operate in New Jersey may have been acquired from other providers. So they may not have been the original operator of that program. They may have acquired that through a merger and an acquisition. In terms of the agency being, the reputation of the agency, it's hard for me to speak to that subjectively. I would really want to look at metrics that would tell us, is this an agency that we can do business with? So I can share that at this time the agency is not under a plan of correction. And that they are eligible to apply to deliver services so that when we issue a request for proposals, they are an agency in good standing. They can apply, for funding opportunities through the department. I'm trying to think of other metrics that would be
I mean, so they do business both with our department and with the, with the Department of Human Services,
Yeah, they
which
do.
is responsible for adult residential placements. Their reputation has been good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we could, you know, I mean, obviously every
Yeah.
provider has incidents that do come up now and then. It's not unheard of, but it's not a.
But the question, what I'm looking for is that if there's an incident, they respond, they have their, their
Absolutely.
caretakers, resolve the issue in a proper way that's mandated by you guys, and things are done according to protocol, is what I'm asking.
I would say, yes, and I would really want to say that when we've had to have difficult conversations, the staff have been, that we interact with are professional, they're appropriate, they take our concerns very seriously, and they do take appropriate actions. I mean, there are a few things that have come up here tonight that I am going to want to follow up on now. I'm very concerned about the street, and I think, just to talk with the agency about what other, what other things they may be able to put in place to kind of reduce that frequency of, children, going into the road in a hazardous way. So that's certainly something that we can say that we need to work on that, and what are some of the other strategies to sort of prevent that situation from happening.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, is there a reason why the mentors aren't being represented here tonight? I mean, you got the text at 7:26,
Correct.
so she must have known does she have your cell phone or something?
Oh, yeah, she
So have you ever-
sent me an email.
Kevin.
We did,
I got you.
they
You-
couldn't make
have
the
you-
last meeting.
Okay, have
And I did tell them it was gonna be brought up and the state may be coming,
But-
and so they knew the
Do you
time
know
and
this
place.
woman, Kumis? How do you-
I've spoken to her,
On-
emailed with her over the last
Couple
2
years?
years.
Oh,
Yes.
you have? Well, I brought that up and nobody mentioned it, that I had tried to speak to her because I was given her number. This is, what's her title with them?
Area director is what she
Area
is.
director for the mentors. And I just wanted known that I tried to speak to this woman and she got angry with me on the phone. She wouldn't speak to me. She goes, "We have every right to be in the neighborhood." And I said, "Miss, this has nothing to do with, you're here, we know that." I said, "It's the safety of the kids." And she hung up on me. So, and that's that lady that sent you that text at 7:26.
Correct.
Well, no,
thank you
I'm
for-
telling, it is correct.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Can
I didn't know that you knew, them that well.
Oh, yeah, no, they were invited.
Are you comfortable sharing
Is
that
there a
email
reason
with
why,
us?
excuse
Oh,
me,
yeah.
is there a reason why they didn't come?
We
Didn't
can't,
ask
we
her.
can't comment
Can't
on
speak for
that.
them.
Yeah.
It's not-
And I didn't ask her, but she knew the meeting was gonna be
Right.
discussed last time.
But you see my.
It was short notice supposedly, or whatever, they couldn't make it, so they knew it was gonna be readdressed, and the state had been invited as well, so.
PJ Campbell, 7 Dugan's Grove Road. How you doing?
I'm sorry, hold
What's
on.
going on? like almost
Hold
3
on,
years.
hold on 1 second, hold on.
What, 7 Dugan?
7 Dugan's Grove.
You got his name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go
This
ahead.
is going on like almost 3 years, stuff going on at that place. Why now are you doing like the covert investigations? You should have been coming a while ago. My next question is there a daily report that each counselor has to put down what happened that day, how many kids are there? Usually like a legend, so you guys can read it. Because I'll tell you what, you're not getting the full, story. We see fights going on we're having dinner, a counselor's rolling around with one of the kids there on my neighbor's lawn. I've witnessed 3 kids run away from, and they don't even go after the kid until about a half hour later. So they're not telling you really what's going on at that home. I live diagonally across from it, and I can see, a lot that goes on there. So I think you should have been investigating this place a little bit further back. And you have to, don't come during the day and at 10 o'clock at night. You have to come from like 4:30 when they get home from school till about 9 o'clock at night to really see the gist of what goes on.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
7 Dugan's Grove, Julie Campbell. I know all you're talking was, but it was so general. You didn't mention one thing about like 8 Dugan's Grove. Have you ever been there? Are you familiar with?
I'm familiar with the area, I have not been to
You've
that
not been
program.
Because we have kids too, I have grandkids, so as much as I'm concerned about the kids in the home, I'm concerned about my kids and my grandkids. The last meeting, they mentioned a gun in the house, drugs in the house, and I don't know why that isn't even being brought up. Like, isn't that an issue that?
So to the extent we can speak to both of those issues, we And we did coordinate with the state police on that too. They were able to find no evidence
No
there was actually a gun in
evidence.
the house, and we weren't either.
Okay, because they didn't find the actual gun in the house, but the employees that were here said there was a gun in the house. Now, wouldn't that mean that there was a gun in the house? I mean, he had no, I don't know, Mike, like, do you remember that?
No, and I recall
I'm
definitely came up
concerned
with the
about
meeting.
little
Very
grandkids, taking them out of the car.
serious
I don't need a gun in the neighborhood, in the hands of a child. It's ridiculous. I think you should visit the area, because you had a lot of like general talk, which was, you know, interesting, but it's not, you know, pinpointing what the problem is on 8 Dunes Grove Road. Very upsetting.
But speaking to the gun issue in particular, and I'm trying to parse my words a little bit here, just so I don't, again, hands are a little bit tight. Even when they're positive, we can't say these things, unfortunately, which is
But we have
frustrating.
kids too. That's
No,
the thing.
understood.
It came from their employees, who are
Right.
no longer working for them.
For some reason.
And I don't want to speak for the state police, but to the extent that we've been able to communicate with them, we and the state police are both satisfied to the best that we could possibly determine that there was not a gun in the home. We did hear from the employee, you know, we, again, really can't get into the details of how those interviews went, but to the extent that we can be satisfied, we are satisfied that there was not a gun in the home. We do not believe there were drugs in the home. I don't believe the police actually investigated that piece, but we are satisfied to the extent that we can be, again, that that was an allegation that was made. Again, trying not to say anything I'm not supposed to, but we are as confident as we can be at this stage that there's not, but we do take it seriously. If that were a situation, we'd be very, very concerned, and we're hopeful that it never does become a situation and that it can be
If it
diffused
was
at
your
a time.
children, you'd probably be.
Absolutely, no, I understand entirely, and we would not want to see that happen, and should not be a gun anywhere near that home.
Okay, this will be the last resident.
Unless anybody else wants to go.
No,
Please.
Brent, go ahead.
Okay. I didn't really plan on speaking tonight. My name is Brendan Donovan. I'm a 3 Indian Path. I've been in town just over 2 years. Everybody over here probably knows exactly who I am. I'm here in a civilian manner. I'm a New Jersey State Trooper. I worked at Hamilton Station for 8 months, whatever it was. I worked at Kingwood Station, and I worked on the Turnpike for 4 years, and I work out of division now. I've personally been in this home. Now, I'm not putting either on the spot, whatever else. Neither of you have been on this street.
I've been on the street, I've not been inside.
Have you sat on that street?
I've not sat on the street, no.
I wouldn't recommend it. And I know it's been said before
That's what I'm hearing.
by the previous, speakers, not to harp on it, but if it has to come from a higher authority, air quotes, I go for runs in the neighborhood. People might see me out there. I don't go that way. I go on my bike rides. I don't go on that road. I don't have kids yet. When I do, they're not playing on the streets. Now, I know it was said, and I'm sure we would disagree on the methods of doing this. Again, I've been called to this house a long time ago. Been called to other houses of similar natures. What's the threshold of when action is taken when these kids do leave the home? I know it's not a prison, and I understand that. But is there a distance? Is there a time? Is there a specific nature of when they leave? Oh, I'm just going for a walk, or I just got into a brawl with Joey, and now I'm going to blow off steam. What's the threshold when action is taken?
So if I understand the question, I mean, it would still be circumstantial. They should not be just
Okay.
abandoning a kid to run away. They
Not
shouldn't be
abandoning.
AWOL. It's not a matter of, when we talk about walking down the street, they should be walking down the street and observed. It should not be a matter of a
Yeah.
child just being allowed to wander off freely. That shouldn't happen. There should be constant supervision.
So, are they observing from 15 feet away, 100 feet? Are they getting a quarter mile and then the police are called? Or are they getting a quarter mile and then they're being physically restrained? What's the process? Is there a written process?
There's not to that level of granularity, and it really is going to depend on the child.
Because
and their
I know
particular-
for a fact when I speak to these people, when I used to, whether at that facility or others, when we tell them, what are you guys doing, the workers? Why does this keep on happening? Their typical answer was, we can't do anything. Now, again, I haven't been there in a while. I know there was the other house, I don't know if it's still there, it was down on the south side, right off of 537 by Wawa. There was a specific girl, when I coached my boot 3+ years ago, who we were there every single day, multiple times a day, because she continuously left the house. I think she ended up in Brooklyn, because she got into a random person's car, went up the turnpike, and went into New York City. I think she was 12, maybe. Now, I don't need to really go into what possibly can happen in that scenario, but obviously that's not good. And when it's, not to say it's bothering the police, But when they have to come multiple times a day, multiple times a week for the same thing over and over, and the workers just simply say, we can't do anything, well, obviously something needs to change. And I don't know what's happened since then. Again, that was a little while ago, but have things changed since then? Has there made major policy changes or anything else like that?
So a couple of things that I can speak to about some of the scenarios that you described. One is that all of the staff in the programs are trained in de-escalation techniques. And so when they say they can't do anything, I assume what they're referring to is, I can't just lay hands on this child and physically hold them back from, like they can't physically restrain them. It's this really, and actually like when somebody is trained in appropriate restraint techniques, the training is really more about around de-escalation and other strategies to try to prevent the need from that restraint from ever happening.
Right. And I'm not saying we go hands-on all the time.
But they can't, we can't lock a child up, we can't do that. So it really, I think is, as Brian mentioned, it's somewhat circumstantial, I don't want to say circumstantial, but it's circumstance specific, depending on how the child's presenting, what happened before they left the home. Are they highly dysregulated? Were they making threats? Are they making threats to hurt themselves or others? And when we do see a pattern of, and keeping line of sight, so the expectation is that you don't lose line of sight, but you keep an appropriate distance so that you don't further escalate the child, but so close enough so that you don't lose that child or lose sight of where that child is. If we have a situation like the one that you described, where there are frequent calls from the police, or typically it's the agency also calling because the child's behavior is such that they're not able to control that child safely. In those situations, we are made aware at the state, and then we will work with the program to determine, to assess whether this really is an appropriate setting for this child. Perhaps it's not meeting their needs. Does this child need to be assessed and perhaps be transitioned to a program that is offering a higher level of staffing, a higher intensity of services, and more staffing, and a lower ratio. So those are the kinds of things that happen. Unfortunately, they typically don't happen overnight.
Well,
So there may be
I work for the state. I know things are,
Yeah.
Just like the wheels of justice, the wheels of the state of New Jersey do not move very quickly.
And that is frustrating to everybody, and most importantly for that child who really is like their needs are not being met in that program. If we have perhaps you've been in this situation, then you may have also been involved in situations where a particular child is escalating to such a degree that they have to be transported to the hospital. Right? So when that starts to happen, those are reported to us. And then we will work, our staff and the care management organization will work with the program to determine whether or not we need to make changes to that treatment plan. It could be any kinds of changes, from different interventions, a medication adjustment, to we really need to look at having this child move to another program.
Because I've been there before where we've had to basically physically restrain 13-year-old girls.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I can handle easily, but we also can't do anything. They're minors, right? And we leave, basically just leaving them there. Okay, you guys gonna handle this? And like, what's your process when this happens? Oh, we just have to kind of hope that they don't really do anything further. Okay, let me know when I have to come back in 30 minutes. Because it was 8 Dugan's Grove and whatever that other address was down there. When that call comes out on radio, you roll your eyes and you say an expletive that's, I'm not gonna obviously say here, because you knew it was gonna be an issue. And it wasn't just gonna be, unless it's a simple medical call or something else, which obviously we don't hope for, it was always a problem, and usually a bigger one. Because I don't know all the reasons why each of these kids are here, but you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do. You're right. And with the way the state's gone, not to get into politics too much, police cannot do anything now regarding minors. I could lose my job for simply walking up to somebody who might be a minor on the street and asking for identification, even if I believe they're doing something possibly wrong. I could get criminally charged. So when it comes, yeah, that's a fact. I know you're rolling your eyes right now.
I wasn't trying to roll my eyes.
I've been, well, you're curious about what that means?
Yeah,
I beg you to look into
Yeah,
the
definitely.
laws that have been passed in the past couple of years.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's extremely hard for us to do anything now. So when it comes to possibly doing a search for a gun or drugs or whatever else, not to bash anybody, but troops are gonna do what's gonna hopefully not get them not only fired, but criminally charged, which always includes violating someone's possible constitutional rights, but hey, this is not only invasion of privacy or possibly a breach of the Fourth Amendment, but it's a minor, so I'm doubly screwed now. So, not that they're not gonna do anything, but they're gonna be real hesitant to be real eager to go in and affect a possible arrest or make a huge criminal investigation out of something else when it's just, I mean, in a legal term, hearsay from somebody else who I would imagine is not making those things up. And that's kind of my 2 cents. And to kind of further again about the nature of the road. Before I bought my house, I realized when I was searching for it, oh wait, I know where I am. Yeah, I went to a rollover at this intersection. Jeep, inched out, right onto 2 houses down from me on their lawn. Jeep's on its top. At least 2 or 3 times since I've lived there, not in a troop car, just on my way home to and from my house. Just a couple of houses down at an intersection, cars in the bushes. You can go past it, the bushes are all down because a car's going into it all the time. So that is a highly dangerous road, and if it's about the safety of the kids, no matter keeping line of sight, I just came down the road to get here. I'm looking every which way. Because if a deer jumps out in front of me and there's somebody on the other side of the road, I'm not seeing them. You can't see anything. It is not safe. And if it's part of the conducive environment to keep the kids safe, no matter what they're doing, whether they're leaving after a fight, or they just gotta get out and get some fresh air, it is a bad road to be on. Everybody said that, I said it, that's the end of that. It is not good, and I will leave it at that. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
No, that's it. We're running over time already.
Well, I just want to say that the main thing here is, let's just say the program is run perfect. The staff is perfect. The kids are the best kids you could have. The problem is the safety of those kids leaving that facility on a running basis, whatever. And somebody's going to get hurt. It's just a matter of time. And
That's been repeated many times tonight. I think we drove it home to them.
Yeah, they got the gist.
Yeah, they got it.
We've heard that.
My
Message
question is,
received.
is there a way to reevaluate, the location of where this is and maybe relocate these children to a safer facility that has sidewalks or a different type of neighborhood? I mean, just as a question.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely take a look at that. I mean, there's a lot we're hearing about the road that I think is new to us.
Yeah.
We rely on some local officials as far as the zoning and the approval for parts of that too. So we may need to look back at, it's been a while. I mean, this home has been open for,
It's been open for quite a while, and things also change over time, right? I don't know, I mean, this may or may not be the case here, but it may have been a much quieter neighborhood
Years ago.
than it is now. But is that the case? Is it, no, it's not? Okay, well, that has happened with other programs where they're in a very isolated place and then there's more development around that.
The only thing that they could probably testify to is that it's only getting progressively worse because there's more cars on the street.
Well, that's,
So it was bad before, but now it's getting worse.
so there's
is what
more
they're saying.
traffic
There's more
on, that's, I think that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, what I'm hearing is that it's a more heavily trafficked street than it might have been in the past.
Okay, so
So that's helpful information for us to have, and we can certainly look at that.
yeah, we can definitely look at that. And, obviously, we obviously continuously assess the population that's placed at a particular program too. So that may be something that has to come into consideration.
That is another concern.
So you've heard it from the residents, you've heard it from some of us. There's a lot of ideas that we threw out at you. Hopefully you could take that back, brainstorm and maybe come up with policy changes, reassessments of that location, different times, random times of when you're going to inspect. Please make it haphazard. Do not let anybody know when you're going, and all of that stuff. And just try to get a handle on this. And if you could keep in touch with our business administrator,
Absolutely.
and then.
I've already sent you that.
Yeah.
And I would like to say, I really do appreciate the opportunity to hear from the neighbors, so thank you for coming out on not a very pleasant night to be out, but I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from you directly, and And I really appreciate the concerns that you also share for the safety of the residents.
Why do you think the
Yeah.
company didn't come? I mean, I know
I
what
don't-
Kevin
I-
said.
I
You
can't-
guys
I mean,
deal with
Alright.
I can speculate, but
I
it
just
won't
figured maybe
matter.
you guys know
Going
a
back,
little
all
better
right.
than
All right.
We're
everyone.
not going back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. All right, at this point, we've given everything that we can to them. They have their job to do. They'll keep in touch with our administrator, and we will communicate that information to you guys, okay? At this portion.
I just said, the days.
No, he's got to
That-
close
No, you gotta
public.
close the public
Sorry,
portion.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
At this
Just-
Let
point,
him
I'd like
close
to close the
public.
public
Before you close the
portion.
meeting, I had two tiny things I wanted to,
Well, let them close
Wait.
public portion.
I know.
Kathleen, I'd like to close it at.
9:20.
Thank you. All right, I just have a couple of quick announcements.
Okay, good.
Okay. Real quick, for you, for the residents, we have the brush drop-off dates for spring 2024. That's April 20th, April 27th, May 5th, May 4th, and May 11th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 15 Baird Road across the street from Wagner Farm Park. Please take your brush and drop it off. It's your right. We have our annual spring cleanup, which is going to be Monday, April 1st for that week. Please put up all your bulk stuff outside of your home, 5 by 5 by 5. And there's a list of items that are going to be on our website that you cannot put out. So please make sure that you don't put anything out that will not be, picked up. It'll be left for you, so make sure you do that. There's a Mosquito Madness tire pickup. Tires will be picked up between February 1st and March 31st, 2024. No more than 10 car tires, and make sure you take advantage of that. There's a paper shredding event in 2024, May 4th in Upper Freehold Township, located at 314 Route 539 in Cream Ridge. And then September 7th, which are the closest two that I'm relating to you, Freehold Township Municipal Building, 1 Municipal Plaza. And every year, we have to open up the voting booths for the primary and the general election. This year, early voting is going to start at May 29th through June 2nd. And the two closest voting booths are Manalapan Township, Monmouth County Library headquarters at 125 Sims Drive, and in Upper Freehold, Hope Fire Company number 1, and that's at 82 Route 526 in Allentown in their meeting room. Thank you very much, and Kevin, you could...
Yeah, it was just a couple of things. There's next Thursday, March 14th, there's some residents looking to get involved with the art program, learning to paint and teaching other people to paint. So they're going to meet at the community center or even photo as well. So 10:30 community center. And then the last one was Mr. Timothy O'Sullivan. I want to give a shout out to him. One of our Millstone residents actually was the Grand Marshal for the 60th Staten Island Parade this past week.
Oh, awesome.
So it was for him to pull somebody out of Jersey to run the Staten Island Parade. Obviously, he has a history over there and in West Cork. And congratulate Belmar on a parade well done down there.
Very good. Okay, all right. At this point, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Time out.